Hey everybody, welcome back. It's MJ here, Just Plain Fun. We thought we'd put together a little video for you tonight on the different logos or trademarks that Stanley used through the years. But before we get into that, I've got a special guest out here with me tonight. I've got my daughter.
Hi everybody.
Yep, and my daughter is about to shame all of you because she knows more about Stanley logos than y'all do. No, I'm just kidding. But she is going to help me out. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I don't have an iron that has the A logo on it, but I can at least show you what it looks like because it's on this chip breaker. And so tell them when the A logo was used.
It was used from 1867 to 1872.
Okay, and what types was it used for?
The types 1 and 2.
Absolutely, thank you. So before I do get too far into this, of course, I got to do the standard plug for Roger K. Smith because he was the author of the original type study, which is featured in P. Tampia, aka Patented Transitional and Metallic Planes in America. This is volume 1 from 1827 to 1927. And if you're not familiar with this, now you've at least seen it. So all the information, most of the information that I'm using tonight comes from the original type study. So next up, we have the J logo. I'm covering up this print that somebody put a user mark or stamp on there, but I want to put the focus on the J logo. There we go. And so this is what it looks like. And tell us when the J logo was used.
It was used in 1872 to 1885. Used do the type 3s.
That is correct. So you're going to see these on the type 3s as well as the type 4s. And then if you want them to see it, you got to pull it down a little bit more like this. There we go. Very good. Excellent. Next up is what Roger K. Smith calls the P logo. And that's what it looks like right there. And the P logo was used for starting in type 5, so 1885, and it actually ran into the type 6s, and so ran all the way to 1892, according to the original type study. So there we go, P logo. Following the P logo, we do move on to the Q logo, and this one shows up as we're already 4 years into our type 6s, and it coincides with the date there that you see there, 1892, is when we start seeing these. And what's interesting is in the original type study, there's a little extract, if you will, that talks about the hole moving from the top, as you'll remember from the J logo, moves down to the bottom. And this is supposed to be one of the improved features of that 1892. And again, Q logo. But what's interesting to me is that on my P logo that I already showed you, the hole is actually already moved down to the bottom. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if maybe this was perhaps a later one. I do have 2 examples of the P logo. Both of them have the opening down at the bottom. So I'm really not sure what to make of that. Somebody, maybe you can enlighten me and help me understand that. But again, Q logo right here. And as a side note, the Q logo actually stays with us all the way through type 6, 7, 8, and all the way through type 9. So through 1907, per the original type study, you're going to see the Q logo on all of those types. I have yet another side note. You may see some variations in the size of the letters and numbers when you see these on the Q logo. And what Roger K. Smith talks about is he says that the smaller font or the smaller letters are most likely on the earlier ones. So when you see those little variations, now you know. We've now made it up to our type 10s, so 1907 to 1909. And now we see the introduction of the T logo, and that is what that looks like. It's fairly common to see some bleed over of the T logo into the type 11s. At least that's been my experience and talking to some other folks who collect type 11s. They've seen the same thing. So Stanley, again, using that old materials or old stock. So it's not uncommon to see a T logo on a type 11 plane. Next up, we do have the V logo. This is my personal favorite. You're going to see these on, of course, the type 11s. So 1910 to 1918. And that is what the V logo looks like. From there, we get into our sweetheart era. We're going to start in 1919. I have a whole separate video on this if you want to learn more about it. And because that other video exists, I'm just going to breeze over these. But you have the X logo first is going to be the one that has New Britain, Connecticut, USA on it. So that's your X logo. And then your Y logo is the one where the SW is pushed up into Stanley there. And finally, your AA logo. And that's your latest SW. And that is the SW, and the heart does not encroach or does not push up into the Stanley rectangle there. But they do all say made in, well, they say all say USA, but the two later ones say made in USA. And I'll go ahead and recap these just in case you don't feel like going and watching that other video that pertains specifically to the SW logos. Your Type 12's 1919 to 1924, and that's going to cover both your X and your Y, because the Y logos, excuse me, the X was 1920, Y from 21 to 22, and then your AA logo actually shows up and starts in 1923 and runs all the way through 1935. So that actually runs all the way into your Type 16s per the original type study. Last and certainly not least, we have the BB logo. This was introduced after we were already 3 years into the Type 16s per the original type study. So in 1936. And this one is going to run all the way really to present day is going to be the BB logo is what you're going to see. But for the purpose of the type study, since it terminates at Type 20s, that's what we're going to focus on. So the BB logo. And one thing that I didn't really cover is I didn't talk about block plane irons. There are some variations out there. If you go to Virginia Tool Works, you'll see some examples there. That is just one, but again, block plane iron. And maybe I'll do another video down the road where I'll show you some of those variations on the logos or trademarks that Stanley used. This is another variation that you might see out there where it's just Stanley. Some folks would call this the S logo. And from what I'm seeing in P-Tampia, these are actually unique to the transitional planes. And as you can see, both of these have just Stanley up there. This one's got the hole at the top. This one has the hole at the bottom. But these, again, are for transitional planes, and they have their own type study. And that is why I didn't talk about these for the metallic bench planes. I hope y'all got something out of that. I hope you learned something there and you see some real life examples, especially for the folks that maybe don't own as many planes. It can be helpful to see some real life examples on a video versus seeing them in a book. And if anybody has any questions or comments, of course, y'all are welcome to come over to the Facebook page, Just Plain Fun, the Parts Division, or comment here on YouTube. The best place to get me is on Facebook Messenger, if you're on Facebook. If not, just go ahead and comment on YouTube, and we'll connect. And now I'm going to turn it back over to the little one to close us out.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get a new notification when a Just Plain Fun video comes out. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.